Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Ruler Waves 3 as Japan. So one thing I wanted to go ahead and do real quick because I kind of sort of forgot to do it last part. After we finished off the major battle that we had, right around here. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the island because I'm going to absolutely butcher it. But one thing I forgot to do was to look to see who was in charge of the destroyer Yakaze. The one that torpedoed the Miyoko and sunk it. So, as it turns out, we don't actually have anybody in charge of the destroyer Yakaze. However, we do, rather, have somebody in charge of the destroyer division that the Yakaze was a part of, or excuse me, that the Miyoko, that the Yakaze is a part of. God, I'm having a hard time speaking. And that is the 7th Destroyer Division, which is under the command of Kaigen Shusa Shima. Now, it should be noted this is the equivalent of a commander. He has been in this position for 8 years and has fought 30 battles. He has an average ability, no special abilities, and of course is, active. I mean, if there was an option to, fire them, I probably would, but we're not doing that. But yeah, so whoever was actually in charge of the Yakaze is apparently too small of a ranking individual, and so we don't have somebody that we can necessarily, actually go and say we court-martialed them and they were executed for shooting at the Miyoko. Now, granted, I do see, weirdly enough, that Kaigen Daisa here is apparently still assigned to the Miyoko, but I swear to God the Miyoko was the one that was sunk, was it not? Yeah. There's no Miyokos here. So I don't know how you can be assigned to a ship that's sunk. But yeah. Now, one thing I did want to go ahead and do real quick was just take a quick look at the globe, and I figured, a better way to represent it is probably going to be a PowerPoint, rather than just looking at the almanac here, because I don't think the almanac quite gets the scale of some of the effects quite into perspective. So, these are the budgets across the globe, as well as fleet tonnage, as of right now, December 1931. So we have a budget of 559,920. Of course, it should be noted that, memory serves me correctly, these values are all technically in thousands or something, I believe. So this is technically like 559 million or something, I believe, when it comes to the budget. We have a fleet tonnage of 375,100. Compare that to Germany, who is about 3 times our fleet tonnage, with roughly 100,000 more budget. You have Britain, who we're just going to go ahead and round and say has double our budget, but they have like 4 times the fleet tonnage. France is on par roughly with Germany, and they have little over roughly double our fleet tonnage. Russia is a bit larger, about 50,000 or so, higher budget, but they're only about 100,000 fleet tonnage more. America is about 200,000 more over our budget, but they are, again, like 4 times our fleet tonnage. Italy is smaller than us, but they have a larger fleet than us. Spain is smaller with a larger fleet than us. China's China. But of course, it should be noted we have a few funky things going on roughly with our fleet. So these are dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, CVs, CVLs, pre-dreadnoughts, armored cruisers, light cruisers, destroyers, armed merchant carriers, corvettes, and submarines. So we have 5 dreadnoughts, no battle cruisers, because our 2 battle cruisers we did have got changed to being designated as dreadnoughts, which, I mean, I'm kind of fine with those, but they're not great designs, so hopefully we don't have to keep them around for very long. We have 1 CV in construction, we have 1 CVL out on the field, we have 3 pre-dreadnoughts still running around and kicking because we haven't had an opportunity to build enough capital ships to replace them. We have 6 armored cruisers, 5 light cruisers, 26 destroyers, no armored merchant carriers. We have 59 corvettes and 73 submarines. You can already sort of see where those fleet tonnages are going for some of the other countries. In fact, I'll admit that is one thing I did think of adding was total fleet tonnage and comparing that across. I just did not decide to actually do that when I was making this. Maybe if I do this again in the future, I'll change that. But yeah. So if we look at, mostly we're going to want to look at Russia because they're the only ones that we really fight. So they have 5 dreadnoughts, 5 battle cruisers, 1 CV, 3 CVLs, 0 pre-dreadnoughts, 3 armored cruisers. I don't know what the hell happened to their armored cruiser. In fact, really, I'm confused as to what happened to most countries' armored cruiser fleets. I mean, I'll admit that we don't have a whole bunch ourselves. But Germany and Britain are about the only people who actually have, unless I'm... Actually, yeah, no. Nobody has an armored cruiser fleet. Annoyingly, CVLs and CAs are a fairly similar color, which kind of messes with me. Yet nobody really has a CA fleet, with the exception of the US, with 10. Most people just don't have armored cruisers for some reason, which is weird because armored cruisers are, in my opinion, like the best cruiser design you can build. They have the firepower to basically wipe out most things with the exception of a dreadnought without having the cost necessarily of a dreadnought, which I think matters quite a bit. Now, we don't really have much in terms of a destroyer fleet either, it should be noted. I mean, you compare us to like everybody else, we're basically on par with China when it comes to a destroyer fleet. So we're just slightly ahead of them. And actually, if we look at this, we are actually on par with them in terms of destroyers in service. We have 3 more being built, which is great. And I'm like 90% certain these are significantly better than any destroyer China has out in the field. Even these newer ones, I can pretty much guarantee you are not on par with our stuff. Yeah, that's 3 5-inch guns. Whoop-de-doo. Compare that to the Akazes with 8 5-inch guns, 35 knot speed. And I don't know what the hell the design decision was here with the Pao Mins from China. But of course, we'll never fight China, so annoyingly. But let's go ahead and actually hop in and let me get my timer started because I have not actually started that yet. Go. And so, yeah, so that's just, sort of get us all on the same page as to what we're looking at when it comes to the rest of the world. We do have a shit ton of prestige, and I'll be honest, in some ways I really wish I could trade prestige for more stuff. I would not mind an event option to be able to trade prestige for budget. Might give me more of a reason to actually care to keep high prestige. The reality is I struggle to have reasons to keep prestige high. Okay, you have designed a upgrade already. I don't even think it's actually been a year. It's been like 3-4 months, I think. But a fair bit extra range. Otherwise, it's the same aircraft, but we'll take it. I got no reason to decline that. France lost a dreadnought, and all Italy lost was a destroyer. That's a great trade, Italy. That is a great trade. I will get right on having 5 more destroyers in active fleet status once I have the budget to build more destroyers. We'll have 3 more in 4 or 5 turns. Now I could realistically I should probably bring back the what were the former battle cruisers that are in Southeast Asia, bring them to Northeast Asia. So what's this? A new medium bomber with less range, but it is faster. Although I care for the range a little bit more than I care about the speed at this point, honestly. I don't know if I would consider that a larger bomb. I mean, the medium bomb is a larger bomb load, but the heavy bomb is not really any different. Especially because I don't believe you you drop bombs independently. I'm pretty sure you would still drop both 1,000-pound bombs on the exact same target. So does it really matter if you opt for 2 1,000s over 1 2,000? Considering that the 1 2,000 theoretically would actually do more damage assuming it impacts. Like, I assume what you're trading here is you technically have 2 rolls for a hit as opposed to 1. But this 1 hit, if it hits, does a lot of damage. While this one, about half the damage. Probably not even actually half the damage. It's probably less than that. Because this is not the explosive amount. This is the weight of the actual bomb itself, which a 1,000-pound bomb is not necessarily 1,000 pounds of explosives. I'm going to say no because again, I care more for the range than I do the speed, so yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to bring the ships that are in Southeast Asia back to Northeast Asia. I don't think they're really doing anything down there. That's a place to send them to keep them out of the fight, realistically, but they're not benefiting from being down there. Okay, I think we got a little bit more budget now all of a sudden, so we're going to take that opportunity to, I think, queue up 2 more Hakazes. And once we finish 2 of these in 3-4 turns, I say 3-4 because could end up with a delay, I think we'll queue up a few more. I'll get right on that, but you guys realize it takes 16 months, roughly, to get out a destroyer, right? Hopefully the war is over by then and we actually get a whole bunch of war reps. Now, we're not blockading them, interestingly enough. Cruiser action, that is a great place for a cruiser action, in my opinion, but of course the Russians disagree with that assessment. I can't fault them for that, but it is annoying. A mine. Yeah, our minesweeping ability kind of leaves something to be desired. I feel like we should be doing this. We should have the... that's a decent place for us to fight, I think. It's a cruiser action. Hopefully it's more CAs than it is anything else. Nope, it's CLs. Wonderful. Is it it's CLs at night as well, because of course. I would much prefer CLs during the day, honestly. We're just going to do 20 knots. We're not going to be rushing into the enemy. If we find them, we find them. If we don't, then oh well. go to, like, very fast. Try to let this time tick by as quickly as we can. See how this goes. I don't really care to keep searching. They had one CL and one destroyer, and they were way south of us. But it looks like they were heading in our direction. Where did they start out of curiosity? Oh, they started along the path, but they went way south before doubling back. Oh, strikes and anti-war demonstrations in Russia. Russia might go communist. It is very late for them to be doing so, of course. Money. Now, we could use this money to... I mean, we can't actually afford it. Yeah, that would just break the bank, honestly, if we did that. I would love to do it. I want to get another Owami out. I want 2 of them. But we don't have the budget to afford that. We can get a Suma out, though, which is our newest CL, with quite a bit of guns, 16 5-inch guns, which will hopefully in the future be dual purpose if the game ever decides to grace us with the presence of 5-inch dual purpose guns. Yeah, we'll go ahead and queue one up. We have, like, just barely the budget to afford that without breaking the bank right now. I will definitely accept that cruiser action. That is a wonderful place for us to fight it. But of course the game says no. Oh. Kaigan Chusa Oka of the light cruiser Akashi. Average disciplinarian torpedo expert has imposed harsh penalties for minor infractions on several occasions. He is reportedly hated by the officers and crew alike of the light cruiser Akashi. And fleet morale has suffered. What should we do? Well, tell him quietly, ease up on the punishments. Great job, Russia. Russia sunk an ocean liner. So neutral nations are more inclined to support us now. Which means everybody calms down except for Britain. Britain says, well, it wasn't any of our people on that ship, right? No? Okay, great. Then we don't care. Because I'm pretty sure tensions with Britain did not even go down at all. But the US, Spain, and China, yeah, they weren't happy about it. So they went down. Germany also didn't go down, though. Pretty sure. Out of curiosity, what are relations like Germany? Any plans to go to war with France soon? No, I think your relations actually went down a little bit. Which is actually annoying. I'm going to go ahead and have these guys join up with 1st Destroyer Division. Ooh, fleet morale is -1. That's not fun. I never noticed this box down here, I'll admit. Am I just blind, or was that not there before? It probably wasn't. I'm just blind. I never noticed it. Nope. I'm going to decline that one. I will accept this one. And of course, you decline it. Managed to get blueprints of a Spanish ship. What spies? What the hell? Our top spy must have just, been on vacation in Spain or something, because we're not spying on Spain. Only 6 10-inch guns. Do you not have aft superimposed? Also, you're still using submerged torpedoes. I do not use those on CAs. Here we go. Brand new fighter. It's not a significant range increase, but it is a bit. And it is quite a bit faster. 177 max speed, 114 cruising speed, 190 max range, a little bit more maneuverable, same firepower, not quite as tough, but I'll survive. I've got a whole bunch of submarines for you to sink, I'll be honest, Russia. So, you know what? You're going to do that. No, you bastards. They sunk one of my pre-dreadnoughts with a mine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use this budget that we have to queue up 4 more destroyers. Thank you very much. Is France bringing some stuff over? Are we finally going to encounter a French ship in this war? Don't let them off lightly. Because I see some French ships down in Southeast Asia. Nope, they went to the Indian Ocean. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use this budget to queue up another Suma. That's a cruiser action I'm fine with. Please be CAs. I much prefer CAs. I do not like CLs. And of course it's CLs again. But at least it's during the day for at least a little while, so maybe we actually have a chance of dealing some amount of damage. Because we actually have a chance of spotting them. Let's go max speed because I'm actually interested in attempting to fight this in as far as we can before night falls. Ship spotted. You are heading north, so we're going to turn north to intercept. Turn because torpedoes are absolute fucking pains in the ass. If we could just sink the Flora class, I'd be happy. I mean, obviously, I'll take if you manage to do some damage to the destroyers as well, but I more so care for sinking the cruiser. Gonna break off a little bit. I don't know what the Flora's plan was there. And it seems our destroyer has decided this is the perfect opportunity for a torpedo run. Okay, well, the destroyers have apparently decided to just abandon the Flora. Because they're way down here. I don't know what the plan was with those torpedoes. I really don't. We're going to have our destroyers, I think, move to try to force their destroyers off. Chikuma takes a torpedo. The one that's still in the group is going to follow their group of destroyers while the rest are going to the lone one is gonna stick with this destroyer that's out by itself. Okay, you just took a torpedo, so you're dead. But you managed to kill him at least. I suppose you can attempt to escape, but good frickin' luck. Because, yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to deal with the flooding before you end up sinking. You've got a lot. You're going to try to head up here because that's probably the closest port, and it also avoids you getting into contact with the enemy again. You managed to actually deal with your flooding. That is a miracle. But good luck actually getting to safety. Because you do not have... what is it? Unit machinery? Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to really get to a good enough speed to make it to port. Shinkaze is going to attempt to cut off the flora or force it to turn. Either or, I'm fine with. I don't think those are actually going to have any good opportunity to hit. But those ones might if you had a firing arc, but you don't. Those ones do, though. And there we go. And of course, by doing that, we managed to avoid actually losing the other Shinokaze class, as well as the Chikuma. I did not pay. Did they? I think that said they gained something, but I wasn't paying too much attention. Oh no, I think it was fleet morale, because we're back at 0. I did not pay attention to what it said though. I think it said 2 prestige and then something. It was like 2 prestige and then 1 something, which I think was the fleet morale. Improved motor torpedo boats. Oh, deck edge lifts. Improves ready time for aircraft. Guess what we need to add onto our CV once it gets built finally. There are rumors of war weariness and protests in Russia. Thank you. Bit late on that. We already kind of knew that because we've gotten reports before, like actual event reports, not just something in the messages tab. Nope, not fighting that. Mostly because I have no ships, so I can't actually fight it anyway, and you would just gain the automatic benefits. Ooh, diving shells. New fighters in operational service. I don't know why we're not blockading them here. I don't know if it's because there are enemy raiders active in the area, which doesn't actually make a whole hell of a lot of sense, but maybe. French ship forced to... Oh, it's the armed merchant carrier. That's not too important. Studies of enemy ships and tactics has helped our research in fleet tactics. Oh, here we go. Centerline torpedo tubes allowed on ships up to 3,500 tons. So now we can have centerline torpedo mounts on CLs. so long as the 3,500 tons are smaller. The Asau's going to be in dry dock for 5 months because it hit a mine. Okay, that's a fair trade. It's not a great trade for you, Italy. You lost a battle cruiser to the French losing a destroyer. Till one of these guys finishes their working up exactly, or are they already done? And I missed it. Oh, okay, they're already done with their working up. We're just still down a destroyer because we're like right at the very edge of the amount of destroyers we need to be able to do this. Okay. That's a cruiser action I'm willing to accept. Now, you said that they supposedly have a battle cruiser, which I find intriguing. Oh, yes, the Yoshino's. Should be noted. I don't know if this is actually the correct design for the Yoshino class. I copied the file from one of the copy saves things that I did a while back that allowed me to go ahead and just kind of play for myself without necessarily breaking this save. So I copied it over from that save folder to this save folder, and then we named it because when it was in the other one, it ended in the file extension of like 0.90D. Changed it to 0.50D here, or whatever it is. And so the Yoshino's back. I'm fairly certain this is the exact design as it was when we originally built it. This is not, however, one of the rebuilds that it inevitably will have to go through, because it does have an older fire control at still having central firing, instead of even just regular old director. Or even, improved director if we were lucky. But it's here, and it's a design. It's not the greatest, but it'll get the job done in helping to supplement stuff. Now, I didn't do this for all the AI designs that have the same issue, mostly because when it comes to the AI designs, I have a harder time being able to say for certain if that's, a relatively accurate design. While at least with mine, I can look at it and say, yeah, that seems about right, if not 100% accurate to how it is pre-refits. And here we go. So both the enemy air bases are now well within medium bomber range. Not that our medium bombers are going to do nearly enough damage to them whenever I have to suppress enemy air defenses, which, realistically, I'm just not going to fight them up here if I can avoid it. That's the easier solution. So let's, okay, apparently they're actually maybe down here. We spotted a destroyer, supposedly. We are heading in the absolute wrong direction. Now, of course, we're assuming that they're in any way accurate on these reports. But it looks like they were close enough because we managed to find, well, we're claiming it's a CL. And it is, in fact, a CL. 7 5-inch guns, okay. And a handful of destroyers. And apparently we're attacking a submarine. Pretty sure you might be attacking ours unless ours is sitting right next to one of theirs. Oh, also, it should be noted the Yoshinos have quality 0 5-inch guns, while the newer ship that's in this formation, the Akatsushima, the Akitsushima, well, I thought it also had quality 1 5-inch guns, because I'm pretty sure we have quality 1 5-inch guns. Evidently, I was incorrect in that, and it's a case of none of our ships have been upgraded yet. But okay, no, we do, but it's only on the destroyers right now. However, also the Yoshinos don't have, I think, increased elevation. They're also coal firing, so the stokers get exhausted. So that's, something else to deal with for them. Of course, their ships are significantly faster than the Yoshino's. If it was just the Akitsushima, we'd be able to potentially catch up to them, but that's not the case. Okay, who's slowing you guys down? Oh, it's the Matsukaze. Because it is a max speed of 30. So, okay, these guys are going to outrun us because they're all like 31, 32 knots or so. Unless they just decide to slow down for some reason, we're not catching up to them. Take us to turn back because I don't want you to get completely lost. And we'll just attempt to tail them, but yeah, no, we're not catching them. Okay, so this is going to be a case of we fired at them a little bit. We did a tiny bit of damage, but nothing to really write home about. They're not going to lose any ships, which, I mean, isn't the worst thing ever. It means we don't lose any ships either. That's always a plus. But I would have loved to have sunk one of theirs, given the opportunity. And there's night, so we're just going to completely break contact at this point. Well, technically there's dawn. There's night. Or excuse me, dusk? Yeah, dusk, rather. Well, twilight, actually, I think is how the game labels it. So, complete draw. We did not do any damage to them. In fact, we fired at them, but we did no damage. Working on the problem of 5-inch dual-purpose mounting, but success has so far eluded them. Damn. 17, oh, quality 0, 17-inch guns. Are we ever going to use those? No. I'm pretty sure even 16-inch guns largely outrange a lot of radar. I don't think it's until you get to like one of the very last tiers of radar that 16-inch guns are no longer outranging the radar. So, kind of have a hard time saying that that's a great idea. One thing I want to do in the middle of a war, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? Disband and auto-add. We'll get some dive bombers in there. That'll be important for future conflicts. Not so much the current one, though. Whoops. Build design, or build ship, rather. Let's queue up 2 more Hakazes because we really, really want to get some brand new destroyers out because we got quite a few that are going to have to do rebuilds, for 1. And 2, we just need more destroyers. That's a cruiser action I'm willing to take. I'm going to tell you to piss off with that one. Increased heavy AA effectiveness, wonderful. Losing a little bit of money, but that's fine. I'll survive. Nope. Yes. Don't let them off lightly. Yes, let's get a new torpedo bomber. Range and speed. Oh, Rebellion in Guam. Still losing a little bit of money. I will accept that one. I will accept that one. I will accept that one. But you decline all three, and that's just, free VP for me, which I'm fine with. Night surface torpedo attacks increase submarine effectiveness. Wonderful. Float plane scout has I was going to say a minor upgrade, but that's actually a fairly decent upgrade, at least in terms of range. I'm assuming because it's a fairly minor speed increase. The engine improvements were focused on, can we make the engine more efficient? In terms of, well, basically gas mileage. It looks like we also upgraded the armament a little bit. Exactly, what kind of armament this represents, I can't tell you. I don't know. He went from freaking pistol caliber rounds to, 7.62 or something. 30 cals. I don't know. I don't know what firepower maxes out at, which would presumably, resemble in many ways, slapping a 20mm cannon on a fighter, or whatever the case may be. It's also slightly less maneuverable, so that's interesting. That you increase the speed slightly, increase the range by quite a bit. I mean, that's 45 extra range at light range, which is generally what you're going to be using for a float plane scout. But you actually made it slightly less maneuverable. Now, see, I would love to end this war. I don't really care for it. Russia, I don't care for to fight. Oh, shit, we sunk a large ocean liner this time. That mostly pissed off China, who I don't really mind pissing off because I'd love to go to war with them. Queue up another new destroyer. Gonna have one more in 2 turns, and then the Iwami itself, which is probably the only one of the Iwami class that we will be building. I will be declining all of those that are near your base, and I will accept all the ones that are near my base, because I don't really need to be that picky about them. New fighter already, and it hasn't even quite been a year, I'm pretty sure. Fairly decent speed increase and a decent range increase. Also a bit of firepower increase and a bit tougher. That's nice. I'll definitely be accepting that. Come on, Russia. I just want to blockade Russia. Why are we not blockading them? Okay, the army wants more resources to prepare for a great offensive that will decide the war. The Prime Minister is asking for my opinion. I cannot see how driving tanks around the countryside can decide the war. True victory lies at sea. Which isn't really true. The reality is, in our scenario for fighting Russia, considering that we own Korea, like the entirety of the Korean Peninsula, which does give us access, land route into Russia. The army theoretically has the capability to be useful in this war. I'm going to say very well, let the army try to accomplish something apart from casualty lists. And we'll see how much that tanks our budget. Oh, not nearly enough for me to really care. Wonderful. Do we do a revolution for France? I'm inclined to say yes. for a handful of reasons. The biggest one is that France is about the only country where I have any sort of interest in potentially taking something. And that specifically has to do with Djibouti. And maybe, if I feel like it, just because Madagascar. This will give us a bit more basing rights. Well, not necessarily basing rights, but base capacity in the Indian Ocean, which I think is helpful, potentially, if we ever go to war with Britain again. Because they will not be able to concentrate all of their forces, specifically in Southeast Asia. They will actually have to have some forces situated in the Indian Ocean. And we will actually have base capacity to actually station some semblance of a fleet in the Indian Ocean. So I'm going to say, you know what? Wherever this French Karl Marx guy is, we're going to let him go. Now, exactly how we grant him safe passage is anybody's guess, if I'm being completely honest. This isn't like, you know, Germany in World War I, you know, helping to foment a communist revolution in Russia, where you actually had control over some semblance of a land route to be able to take a dude from, if I recall correctly, I think Switzerland or something is where he was at the time, and transport them through your country that you own entirely into Russia. For us to do that to France, we don't have that capability. We don't border France. How are we granting him safe passage? Do we buy him a ticket with like an American passport or something on an American flagged liner, and we figure that the French won't shoot at an American ship or something? Is that our plan? Because that's about the closest I can get to thinking that he has any semblance of safe passage that we can grant. Oh, God, game, yes. This does mean we have quite a bit of rebuilding to do. The Iwami will need to be rebuilt because those 5-inch guns now need to be dual-purposed. Many of our ships that are running around with 4-inch secondaries will need to be upgraded to 5-inch secondaries, which might necessitate fairly significant overhauls depending upon weight limitations. Those light cruisers that we're getting out that have 5-inch guns, they need to be rebuilt with 5-inch dual-purpose now. So we've got quite a bit of rebuilding we're going to have to do after this war is over, because the reality is we can't really afford to do it in the middle of the war. We just don't have the resources. Let's get another Suma going. That actually will take us 500 into the hole on budget. Here we go. The French Prime Minister holds an elegant speech stressing the need to fight for freedom and democracy. Unrest is reduced in France and allied democratic nations. What the fuck are you talking about, France? Stressing the need to fight for freedom and democracy. Dude, this is like post-Meiji Meiji Restoration Japan. Sure, we may not be, you know, quite as democratic as you are, but nonetheless, you're not fighting a fascist or communist nation. You're not. I fully find it silly that you're stressing the need to fight for freedom and democracy, but you know what? Screw it. It's France. French destroyer interned in South Africa. Well, Southern Africa. We're just going to say it's South Africa. What's this? Kaigan Chusa Lura, or however it's pronounced, Ayura, I don't know, of the CL Itsukushima, above average aggressive loose cannon, has voiced criticism over the conduct of our naval operations. Apparently, he has hinted that Naval High Command is too cautious and this reflects badly on you. Oh, one of those little disloyal schemers that undermine their superiors. have them beached. Eh, I mean, sure, we've been cautious. We're not trying to get. Dude, if you want to go on a suicide mission and attack Vladivostok under threat of torpedo bombers and dive bombers, be my guest. I will let you do it. But we're not going to risk the fleet for it. But I'll let him have his opinion. Oh. So we gave the army a bit of our budget and, oh, what's that? They failed. I mean, they didn't fail miserably, at least. They didn't give the enemy a bunch of VP, but they got a stalemate. Great job, guys. Maybe I shouldn't have bothered giving you the budget, because it literally made zero difference, and I could have used it to maybe build another ship. Don't let them off lightly. New torpedo bomber. Okay, these are decent range improvements. Also, though, however, this looks to be a smaller torpedo. Well, not actually true. It's the same torpedo. It's just a smaller bomb. But it's a torpedo bomber. Why do you need to have a bomb load? Because theoretically, you can slap a bomb on it. It's not a great idea. So, they're not too much faster, but they have a decent amount extra range, 260, 155 for a heavy load, which is what I care more for. Also, you're a little bit tougher, which is nice, because that means you might actually not get shot down as much when you do a torpedo run. Mitsubishi approaches us with a brand new float plane Scout, and we tell them no. While it is faster, it has less range. Also, you removed all the guns. Great job. I would never do that. Has it really been 2 years since we designed a dive bomber? Really? Huh. Sure. I'll fight you here. Oh shit, we got quite a bit of budget. Oh, the Hosho's been completed. That was a good one, Italy. You took out 3 destroyers in exchange for losing only 1. It's actually not that bad. Okay, here we go. Where is my Hosho? Hosho, you have 70 aircraft that you can fit on there. You're going to go and stick with 24 fighters, 23 dive bombers, and 23 torpedo bombers. I think that sounds great. You have a blockade value of 8. You have an ASW value of 3. It's not great, but also partly you're still working up, so it'll be a little while anyway. Now, we have 7,000 budget. Do we queue up another Awami, which will take 33 months? I was about to say years. God, that would be way too long. Or do we queue up a Hosho? The Hosho is significantly cheaper. That is actually a very good question. So it's 1933, so naval aviation is still not the greatest, particularly when it comes to carrier-based aircraft. They don't quite have the range, the speed. They don't have necessarily the firepower. But a dreadnought is about 10 months longer. Not quite 10 months, more like 8. But when it fires, it manages to get in range of the target and fire. It hurts quite a bit more. I think we're going to go with an Awami this time, and maybe if we get the budget again, we'll queue up another host show, because I would love to have some more actual dedicated CVs as opposed to CVLs. I will admit I'm the kind of person who actually scraps my CVLs at some point, because I struggle to justify them personally, and it's partly just my playstyle. If I can have one CV out with the same aircraft capacity, well, I guess airstrike capability rather, as the equivalent of 2 CVLs, I'm generally more inclined to go for that. Especially when you consider that a CV often is going to be cheaper than 2 CVLs. The difference is just that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket in that regard. So if a CV gets sunk, you lose all of it. But if you have 2 CVLs and one gets sunk, well, then you only lost half your capability instead of all of it. But also, that runs into the question of, why the hell is your CV able to be targeted? It shouldn't be. It should have sufficient anti-air coverage from light cruisers with 5-inch dual-purpose guns. Very vital that they're 5-inch dual-purpose guns, because they're just the best. They're the absolute best at the job. And of course, once you get around to missiles in, 15 years or so from now, not quite accurate. Although I think that might be roughly accurate for SAMs. You should be slapping a SAM on your CVs and maybe the CLs that are escorting it, because those will be able to fire on anything. Well, not necessarily anything, but they'll be able to fire on stuff. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and queue up an Awami. We're going to save that extra 2,000 budget that we got, I think, to... Oh, I didn't realize we were getting a Takao out. I didn't realize we had that queued up. Wonderful. You know what? Once we finish the Takao, I think we're going to get another Takao out. Nope, not fighting that. I will fight you near here. I'm inclined to fight you there, though. That's not too bad of a placement, I say. Attack enemy ships in general. What do we have? We have the Kako here, which is a Nishin class. We have the... Oops. Furutaka, which is a Nishin, and then we have the Alba and a Sal, which are another Nishin and an Iwata, an Iwate, respectively. The fastest, but they'll get the job done. We do have a CL here as an escort, not a... 2 CLs, actually. Where's the other one? Oh, it's up there, okay. There's the Zuiho. So we're being led by the Furutaka. And it looks... Oh, yeah, this is not going to be a fun time for them, depending upon exactly how large of a fleet they brought. Now, one thing I am going to say is, let's reorganize your search pattern, because... One, do we need to do 300? Probably not. We can probably make do with like 200 or so. Whoops, not that one. This one, they're probably not that far out. Or that far south, rather. They might be a little bit more to the north, however, I will admit. That is a decent possibility that they might be further to the north. They're not going to have great... I mean, they have the potential to just be crossfired by us. I consider it. We have the Zuio here with what it has in terms of strike capabilities, which, could certainly be better, but it's something at least. But then we also have Airbase Shana here, which can launch scouts and various attack capabilities. Yeah, they're not going to have the best time ever. And push come to shove. We just need to find them, though. Oh, well, found them. That was easy. It's evidently a speak of the devil situation because we already found them. Well, we found something, I should specify. We found the cruisers. Reasonably safe bet that they have CVs, or at least a CVL. I don't recall what they had operating here. I didn't pay attention to it. I suck at that. Destroyers. Where's my CLs? You guys have 30 knot max speed. I think you have a decent opportunity to maybe get in there and do some damage. I'm not gonna land very many hits on this CL here. At this distance. That's so slow. Oh, the Asau is really slowing you guys down. What the hell's the Asau's problem? Oh, it's the fact that it was designed at at 23 knot max speed. Okay, yep, that makes sense. It's an old design. You guys turn back. I mean, I'll admit I don't mind you guys firing on CLs if you feel like it. Or excuse me, destroyers if you feel like it. But yeah, this is the same issue we have usually, is that we just don't quite have the speed on our stuff. That is not the right heading, and I don't know who reported that. But they're way off on the location of the ships, and then they're also off on the heading. You know what? I think what we can probably do, we can probably make do with launching the dive bombers on CL. Ready that? We're going to try to get eyes on these guys and keep eyes on them. But they just outrun us. They really do. The only thing that has any real opportunity to keep up with them is our destroyers. Okay, I don't. Okay, I'm not a fan of this plan of theirs. But I guess it technically fulfilled its duty. It results in us losing contact with the CL. So we got to try to find it again. Probably gonna have a bit of a hard time doing that. Never mind. Oh, two things up here. Okay, one's probably a destroyer that did not break off on this weird uh, run that they did. You're gonna go for this guy. Select all already. Launch. No, don't bother with a coordinated strike. Just get up there as soon as possible. If you can drop a few bombs on them, I think we'll be fine. I think one good bomb hit on that CL will slow them down enough for the fleet to be able to catch up. And you have like 18 chances. I wasn't paying attention to how many we launched. Might be only like 12. Oh, okay, that line for the torpedo bomber is from I guess it's uh Korsakov. Really freaked me out. And like, what the hell is this purple line all of a sudden? Never mind. It's oh god, it's our torpedo bombers. You guys don't have. You're going to be suffering the small salvo penalty. Be able to catch up. So our dive. Okay, the dive bombers. I think in large part because we have eyes on them. Admittedly, at this distance, I don't think we're reliably able to relay location information, but whatever. We'll just ignore that entirely. Oh, never mind, I spoke way too soon. They are way off target. That's my timer going off. Let's let's see if we can wrap this up relatively quickly, and then I'll end the part. These don't need to be AI controlled. Okay, we have 6 dive bombers. Uh, I what? These guys are way the fuck down here, game. Oh, never mind. How the hell did you guys get up here? Well, unfortunately, no torpedo hits. Or bomb hits, rather. Well, I say that. Oh no, we did actually land a bomb hit on the first attempt, which is great because that slightly increases the chance that our CAs here will be able to catch up. And of course, maybe be able to actually get a decent broadside on. Okay, those ones are going to go for these destroyers down here. It looks like. Bomb hit on a destroyer. Nothing the second time around. Okay, there we go. Now you guys don't have the small salvo penalty, which helps quite a bit with dealing with the enemy. Turn just a little bit because I don't really want you to go right up their asses. Okay, you guys need to turn. It's one destroyer down. To you. Oh, you jammed your A and B turrets. Okay, I don't know. It's torpedo you hit, but I don't know. Can you dock in Shana? I think you can. Yeah. Yeah, pretty sure you can. That. You are going to try to duck behind. I think to try to avoid torpedoes. Shinome got sunk, which is one of our Shiokaze class. Oh, we got two more uh, torpedo bombers coming in for a naval strike. If they can find the CL, but you're not quite looking in the right direction. Studio is ready for its strike. Select ready, launch. Nope, don't bother coordinating. That's fine. Go. I think we're going to have the Hatsuyuki, though, turn around to go back there to pick up survivors from the Shinome. Is it just like wreck the engine or something? Shit, Nokaze just took a beating. Slow down to have any hope of escaping. Okay, but that forced them to turn quite a bit. Really don't know why you're bothering with that torpedo. It has zero chance of hitting at that distance. Okay, I'm just going to take your word on that. I don't think you're quite accurate there. Now we're letting 10 hits on this thing. It's dead in the water. You know, it's fine. Screw it. You guys can stop, slow down, whatever you need to do to pick up your float plane. There we go. That went a bit longer than I would have liked, but we're done. We sunk 4 destroyers and a CL, all in exchange for a single destroyer. Admittedly, annoyingly, it was a new-ish destroyer, but nonetheless. Strikes and anti-war demonstrations in Russia. Takao has been commissioned into the Navy. Russian Raider CA forced to intern in a neutral port. Wonderful. Yes, you can have 6 of these. I completely forgot that destroyers are 6 division teams as opposed to 5. I don't know why I thought they were 5. Go, we have a fair bit of budget, and we're going to free up a bit in a little while. I think we're going to go ahead and, I know I said next time we would probably do the Ho show after we did the second Owami, but I'm also inclined to say, I might prefer to do a couple to cows because we don't have a large CA fleet. We have 5. Reminder, America has 10. Italy has 4 with 5 in construction. Britain has 3 with 3 more in construction. I'd like to have more CAs because I love CAs. CAs are my favorite. Admittedly, I can't quite afford to queue up 2 more, which is a bit of a shame because I would prefer to queue up 2 more, but we'll do 1. I'll survive. We should be able to queue up the second one in like a turn or 2. But that'll be it for this part. I will see you all next time where we are still at war with France and Russia. Mostly Russia. But There we go. I will see you all next time. Oh, Italy, you ain't doing so hot over here. You're not being blockaded, which is nice, but you're not doing as hot as you could be. You could be doing better. Granted, things would go so much better for you if somebody else would declare war on France. But the only person who has any reasonable chance of potentially going to war with France is Germany, and Germany's relations with France have gotten better throughout this part. I think they were at 8 at the start of this part. Previous parts, they were as far up as 9. They're now at 7. So, I don't know what the hell's going on with France and Germany, where France and Germany have not really fought any wars this series, which is just so weird to me. And granted, it's probably just because historically, France and Germany were constantly at each other's throats. But for some reason, there's just not very many wars between them. Same between France and Britain, really. I feel like they probably should go to war a bit more often, but they don't. Hell, even actually to an extent, Germany and Russia, I don't think have really fought each other all that much. And that's another case of, I feel like they should be fighting each other more. If I was Germany, I can tell you this right now, going to war with Russia would be one of my priorities in this game. The biggest reasons for me is that I would love to take the Baltic states, I would love to take Finland, and I would love to take Norway. Granted, it should be noted, not all of these are under Russian control, obviously, at game start, but there's still territories that I would love to take off of them once I have the opportunity, because they're just so good to have. As a reminder, the Baltics is a terrible, terrible place to fight in the late game. It was absolute hell in Rule the Waves 2. Because, well, actually, Northern Europe, actually, in Rule the Waves 2 was hell to fight if you were fighting Russia, because a lot of your battles would be in the Baltics. And once aircraft, particularly like World War II era aircraft, come around, good luck. Because you're going to have a hard time being able to operate there without constantly under threat of torpedo bombers and dive bombers, and to a lesser extent, medium bombers attempting to do level bombing runs on you. Those aren't fun. I can tell you right now, I haven't fought there in the Jet Age in this game, but I can tell you with a reasonable degree of confidence that fighting in the Baltics in the Jet Age is going to be even worse than it is in the World War II prop plane era. Because jets, one, eventually get access to basically anti-ship missiles. So, jet attack aircraft, I think is what they're labeled as. Or they might be labeled as jet attack fighters, which I don't think is quite accurate, but whatever. Whatever they're actually referred to as. I might be misremembering on what they're called. It might even just be called Jet Strike. Whatever it is. Eventually they get access to the ability to carry anti-ship missiles. And if, you want to deal with getting shot at by something that you can't really see outside of on radar, and you probably don't have a way of engaging when it's at standoff distances and just firing at you and then heading back to the carrier to reload and rearm. Well, refuel and rearm, rather. Yeah. No. And I believe medium bombers get the ability to carry like 2 of those. I think jet strike fighters only get 1, I believe. Maybe they get 2. I'm pretty sure medium bombers get the ability to carry more than jet strike fighters, which, I mean, they're not particularly fast aircraft in those scenarios. They're still going to be faster than a ship. And, if You can get a medium bomber that has like 3 or 4 of these things. Again, I don't recall off the top of my head if they have that ability. I don't think they do, actually, now that I think about it, because I think the torpedo load tells you basically how many torpedoes it can carry in certain situations. So we'll see when we get to that age as to, the exact specifics of how it all works. But it's not a fun. It is not a fun place to fight in the jet age. I can pretty much guarantee you that. It's going to be worse than with props if you're in the Baltic. So as Germany, that is something I would prioritize taking before planes become a real threat. Same if I was Italy or France or even Spain. Anybody who's in the Mediterranean, you want to take over the Mediterranean as quickly as possible, because it is not a fun place to fight in the late game. But I'll see you all next time. Until then, goodbye and farewell.